Getting out of our own way. I'm talking about in regards to our way of thinking toward ourselves. You know, it's so easy to um, fall into the comfortability of our fears, of what we think is right, of how we think it should be. When, if you really think about over the course of your life, a lot of times thinking that way caused you to repeat certain cycles, situations that you know that you should have evolved from a long time ago. Getting out of our own way, you know, as far as, realizing that fear is a lot of times letting you know that you are right at the doorstep of your next venture in life that you need to embrace. And sometimes we get so used to talking ourselves out of it because of our fears, we end up repeating something that if we would have just had walked through that door of quote unquote so-called fear, we would have looked back and saw an accomplishment that rightfully belonged to us. Everything involves risks. you know Getting out of our own way of all of those years of being conditioned to think that everything has a happy ending. Life is not a fairy tale. There is no happy ending. There is no final destination with things. You have got to understand that getting out of your own way is getting out of your old realm and way of thinking. It has nothing to do with nobody else, but every bit to do with you, because it all starts with you. And then as you change, things around you change. So, just know that, getting out of your own way is a process, because believe it or not, all of us were conditioned to operate and think and be a certain way in order to function throughout society. Hence, you got consumers and investors. That boils down to a difference in thinking. They can look at the same circumstance, the same situation, and they'll tackle it differently. I'm just using that as an example. Our perspective of, of teamwork or working together. You know what I mean? Anything. Getting out of our own way a lot of times is changing those negative thoughts, those negative cycles of thoughts. That is really all it is just a self-defense mechanism. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just a self-defense mechanism. But it could be to your detriment. It could be to your stagnation. It can lead to everything that you don't want, all those negative ways of thinking. Getting out of your own way is making the decision to not let what caused you to go under arrested development as you evolve throughout your life, to no longer arrest you no more, to no longer control how you feel. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily get hard-hearted. That doesn't necessarily mean that, you go all the way over to where, you're so callous to where all you got is you. Or you go so soft to where, you're a person's doormat. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you feeling good about yourself concerning those things that no one else really knows about but you. and acknowledging the fact that, you know what, if I don't change this about my thinking concerning this will continue to happen, you know. And I know I'm being very broad with it, but it's for you to dissect in your own way of what getting out of your way is. And a lot of times you already know how, and you know, you need to get out of your own way, why you need to get out of your own way. Consciously, we know a lot of things, but the daily discipline that comes with accomplishing and bringing what we visualize to fruition, that's what the struggle is. But scraping up a positive thought somehow in the midst of the negativity, scraping up how, you know, whatever it is to your advantage, is to your knowledge, is, you know, in other words, to gain knowledge from it. That's what I mean. Whatever it is, scrape it up. You know, it sounds cliche to have positive thinking, but when you actually begin to practice that, you realize that it was technically always there, that positive perspective, you know, that outlook. You know, it's just that a lot of times we allow other people's fears to pollute our minds. So getting out of our own way, let's continue to get out of our own way so that we can evolve and grow and be our true adult self, our whole self, the version of us that we like what we see when we look in the mirror. Have a good one.